I, 39M, have always been a firm believer in treating others with respect, even behind closed doors. Don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. I've indulged in gossip and talked about others with friends before. But there's a line, a line that I feel has been crossed recently, and I'm at my wit's end trying to figure out how to handle it. Let me give you some context. I've been dating my girlfriend, 32F, for about 2 years now. She's smart, funny, and usually a joy to be around. But there's one thing about her that's been grating on my nerves lately: her obsession with my ex-wife, 42F. Now, I get it. It's not uncommon to have some feelings about your partner's ex. There's often a mix of curiosity, jealousy, and sometimes even a bit of resentment. But my girlfriend has taken it to a whole new level. It's like she's fixated on my ex-wife, always trying to make snide remarks or put her down in some way. At first, I didn't think much of it. When we were alone at home and she'd make a comment about my ex, I'd usually just shrug it off. People talk, right? And as long as it was just between us, I figured it wasn't doing any harm. But lately, it's been escalating, and I'm starting to realize that this isn't just harmless venting. It's becoming a real problem. The incident that really brought this home happened last Saturday. We were out at a nice restaurant with a group of her friends. For other couples, to be exact. It was supposed to be a fun, relaxing evening. Good food, good company, maybe a few drinks. The kind of night where you can unwind and forget about your worries for a while. Everything started off great. The atmosphere was lively, the conversation was flowing, and everyone seemed to be having a good time. My girlfriend had a couple of drinks and was in high spirits, laughing and joking with her friends. I was feeling pretty good myself, thinking this was exactly what we needed after a stressful week. But then, somehow, the conversation took a turn. I'm still not entirely sure how we got there, but suddenly the topic shifted to childbirth and the changes it can cause to a woman's body. Now, I'm not usually one to shy away from these kinds of discussions. I believe it's important to be open and honest about these things. But what happened next made me incredibly uncomfortable. My girlfriend, who was by this point a bit tipsy, started talking about my ex-wife. And not just talking, she was practically shouting, her voice carrying across the restaurant. I felt my face grow hot as I realized other diners were starting to look our way. She said, leaning in conspiratorially to her friends, but speaking far too loudly. I bet his ex has a huge one now. She pushed out 2 kids. The women at the table erupted into laughter, some of them making exaggerated U sounds. I felt like I was in some kind of nightmare. Here we were, in a public place, and my girlfriend was discussing my ex-wife's vagina with a group of virtual strangers. I tried to intervene. "Hey," I said, keeping my voice low, "can we change the subject? This isn't appropriate." But my girlfriend, instead of taking the hint, seemed to take my discomfort as a challenge. She turned to me, her eyes glinting with a mix of alcohol and what I can only describe as malicious glee. "Why are you so agitated?" she asked, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Did we hit a nerve? I should have just let it go. I should have excused myself from the table, taken a walk to cool off, anything but what I actually did. But in that moment, feeling cornered and frustrated, I made a terrible mistake. "Actually, no," I said, my voice tight with anger. "My ex-wife was the tightest woman I've ever been with. I don't know how she managed it, but she's very tight." The silence that followed was deafening. It was like all the air had been sucked out of the room. My girlfriend's face crumpled, and to my horror, she burst into tears right there at the table. The other women at the table started yelling at me, their faces a mix of shock and outrage. The men, for their part, looked caught between amusement and fear. I can't blame them. I wouldn't have known how to react in their shoes either. One of them, probably trying to defuse the situation, piped up with, "Yeah, I don't think childbirth really affects that." I haven't noticed a difference with women I've dated. I felt a surge of gratitude towards him for trying to help, but it was too little, too late. The damage was done. My girlfriend stormed out of the restaurant, leaving me to deal with the aftermath. Her friends continued to berate me as I hastily paid the bill and made my exit, feeling like the worst person in the world. That was 4 days ago, and I haven't heard from my girlfriend since. She won't answer my calls or respond to my texts. I've left voicemails apologizing, trying to explain myself, but it's radio silence on her end. As I sit here, replaying the events of that night over and over in my head, I can't help but feel a mix of emotions. On one hand, I'm deeply ashamed of what I said. It was crude, inappropriate, and honestly, not something I should have shared with anyone, let alone a table full of people in a public restaurant. I betrayed my ex-wife's privacy and probably hurt my girlfriend deeply in the process. But on the other hand, I can't shake this feeling of frustration. Why has my girlfriend been so fixated on my ex-wife? Why does she feel the need to constantly put her down, to make these crude jokes and comments? And why, when I've expressed my discomfort with this behavior before, does she seem to double down instead of respecting my feelings? I keep thinking back to previous conversations we've had about this. There have been times when I've told her that her comments about my ex make me uncomfortable. Her response is always the same. "Why do you care? Why don't you want me to talk shit about your ex?" It's like she can't understand that my desire to not disparage marriage my ex-wife isn't about lingering feelings, but about basic respect and maturity. My ex-wife is the mother of my children, for crying out loud. We have a daughter who's 4 and a son who's 2. Yes, our marriage didn't work out, but that doesn't mean I want to see her dragged through the mud, especially not in public and definitely not in such a crude manner. I'm starting to wonder if this fixation my girlfriend has on my ex-wife is a sign of deeper issues in our relationship. Is it insecurity, jealousy, or is it just a fundamental lack of respect for boundaries and the feelings of others? The more I think about it, the more I realize that this behavior has been a pattern. It's not just about my ex-wife, though that's certainly the most prominent example. My girlfriend has a tendency to make fun of others, to gossip and put people down. I've always tried to brush it off as harmless talk, but now I'm starting to see how toxic it can be. I'm also grappling with my own role in all of this. Have I been too passive? By not firmly shutting down these comments earlier, have I inadvertently encouraged this behavior? And what about my outburst at the restaurant? Yes, I was provoked, but that doesn't excuse my actions. I stooped to her level, and in doing so, I became part of the problem. As I sit here, for days later, I'm at a loss for what to do next. Part of me wants to keep trying to reach out to my girlfriend, to apologize again, and see if we can work through this. But another part of me is wondering if this incident is the wake-up call I needed. Maybe this relationship isn't as healthy as I thought it was. I love my girlfriend, I really do. When things are good between us, they're really good. But I can't ignore the red flags anymore. Her obsession with my ex-wife, her disregard for my feelings when I express discomfort, her tendency to double down when challenged. These are all serious issues that need to be addressed. And then there's the question of my children. They're young now, but they won't be forever. What kind of example am I setting for them by being with someone who speaks so disrespectfully about their mother? How would they feel if they ever overheard the kind of comments my girlfriend makes? I'm tired of the drama, tired of walking on eggshells, tired of feeling like I have to defend my past relationships. I want a partner who understands that my ex-wife will always be a part of my life because of our children, someone who can be mature about it instead of turning it into a competition or a source of crude humor. I guess what I'm really asking is, am I the asshole here? Yes, I said something I shouldn't have, and I'm prepared to own that. But am I wrong for being upset about my girlfriend's behavior? Should I be trying harder to make this work, or is it time to seriously reconsider this relationship? I know I have some serious thinking to do, and probably some difficult conversations ahead. But right now, I just feel lost. How did a nice dinner out turn into this mess? And more importantly, where do I go from here? Any advice would be appreciated. I feel like I'm too close to the situation to see it clearly anymore. Thanks for reading this far if you made it. It feels good to get it all out, even if I'm still not sure what to do next.